which we fashioned on the Bolsa Familia program in Brazil, which was so popular that the president who started it, despite being forcefully taken to jail, came out of jail and has won the election again. Basically this. But it's not only old people's cash transfer only, it is part of the bigger program of social protection that we started at that time. That includes also cash transfer for orphans and vulnerable children, which was made worse at the time because of HIV/AIDS. And so that old people were, apart from having difficulty with looking after themselves, were also looking after their grandchildren whose parents died from HIV/AIDS. At the same time, it's also part of the program of cash transfer for persons with severe disability. Madam, people with severe disability who need care are a big burden to society, because it's not only themselves, but the people who look after them are also locked up and are unable to do any meaningful work. So this is a program that actually is desirable, and Mheshimiwa, it's good for bringing it back. People didn't see its value, but I'm so happy that I've been vindicated that this thing was actually necessary. Madam Speaker, we started it with a policy in 2007, and that's why I was saying earlier that there's a deficit of policy in our governance. And the policy actually went into place in 2007 and laid out exactly what should be done. The Constitution came 2010 when the policy was actually in place, which again strengthened it. And then in 2013, there was the Social Assistance Act, which actually provided for an authority. Unfortunately, this has not been operationalized, and therefore we are working in an environment where the legal framework is actually weak. And I think that is where we should look at. Members have said that there was discrimination. The issue and the reality, Madam Speaker, was that when we started, people felt it was just a pilot. I remember the Treasury called me and gave me 500 million shillings and said, do you think this can start it? So we had to start with MEGA, and that is why we had to get a means of identifying people. We were using what is the means testing, look at in your family, what are your means of income and so on, because we did not have enough money and cut the age off at 65. And we also said that actually after the means testing, then this was to be subjected to public opinion by members of the clan. That hasn't worked very well. I know that, because sometimes the chiefs and the assistant chief have actually seems to influence it. But later on, the policy that actually was recommended, and I would recommend that we go to that policy, is get enough finances and get a cutoff. Above that age, everybody gets it. And actually we worked, I think 3 years ago, when I was in Parliament, we worked with the Ministry of Labor at that time, and worked out that if you increase the age to 70, we would be able to put enough money so that everybody above 70 gets the stipend without having to identify anybody, in which case you didn't have to know whether they have other income. And that is actually what should be going on. So if we do not have enough money, let's go by 70, take everybody, register every year, and give them the money. And that is actually what we need to do. And therefore, the registration process need not be so complex, but we can use all the registration we have, the way we do registration for voters, the way we do registration for IDs, particularly for IDs. Every year we know. And we can use electronic means of disbursing this money, because disbursement is another challenge. We are using banks now and agents of banks and e-cards. But again, sometimes the Wazir's go and they don't get this money because either their fingerprints can no longer be read or the cards, and they don't get replaced. So people really suffer. So I think we need to actually streamline this. The 1,500 was actually the beginning point. But I think in 2008, There was a motion in Parliament here, I was in Parliament then, that actually recommended that we increase it from 1,500 to 2,000, which actually was implemented. I was in the ministry, we implemented it immediately. So I really ask our colleagues, this is the time, if we mean what we are saying, this is the budget time, let's put more money, and it can be calculated. How much money do we need for all our old people above 70? Put that money in the account. And then we must also look at what are the means of delivery. The banks, the agents, they should have a proper system, because they go there, stay, as a member said, for 2 days and they have not been paid. So they also, some of them need caretakers, because some of them are even blind. So again, this is a serious issue that we really need to look at. So I think we should digitalize the whole system. The registration should be automatic on age, and we should have a single registry. That was also in program, so that once you are in that registry, you do not get double dipping, because you go to the counties, they are also giving some money. You go to other ministries, you are getting some other social protection programs. The arid lands, there is also a cash transfer program. So if we go for a single registry, so that once you are in the registry, you actually get the money and there can be no duplication. I think, Madam Speaker, this is a program that we must support, and I will ask my colleagues in this budget. I'm a member of the Social Protection Committee. We are proposing more money. Let's get more money. Let's do regular registration. Let's do digital registration, and let's use modern digitalization to give this money to us. With that, Madam Speaker, I support and really congratulate the honorable member for bringing this before us. Thank you.
I don't have a mic. Thank you very much, Member for Seme. The Honorable Wanjiku Muya, Member for Kipipiri.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And on the onset, I want to support this motion, first by congratulating the Honorable Member for bringing this motion to the House, which I think is timely in terms of this House having created a committee on social protection. Honorable Speaker, this aged people is a very special and delicate group which need special attention to be accorded to them. And I think it is time this House has to relook at the population versus the age. And when we identify that at the age of 65, the numbers are so huge that we can never increase the amount, which is Kenya shillings 2,000, then we may opt to increase the age bracket to 70 or thereabout, so that we can be able to increase the amount. Because, Honorable Speaker, honestly speaking, with the current economic standard today, 2,000 shillings per month is quite minimal. So this House may need, through the Committee of Social Protection, to relook at the age versus the population and come and give this House a solution, and we agree which is the current, the correct age that we should continue. We should also look at the budget, and as much as we fight for our roads, water, electricity, and all other social amenities, I think we should also look at this program with seriousness and allocate the budget that will be enough for this. The main animal on this matter is the disbursement of these funds. Honorable Speaker, you go to the constituencies and you find a 100-year-old man seated in a bank in a corner somewhere, and he came to withdraw 2,000, and because the fingerprints are not able even to show, he has to wait there. And I can say, without fear of contradiction, that this money doesn't also come very smoothly. So I think this House has to guide the country and the ministry by bringing a better and developing better means and ways of how this money can be disbursed. The country may think of a way, maybe a mobile money transfer, and we may even want to invest, maybe heavily invest once and for all, because we can even invest on purchase of mobile phone, the small one, or see how this money can reach the aged at their homestead instead of them traveling long distance. Having said that, there is another issue. Members have spoken of capacity building. This is another animal in this ministry, I can confirm. And I want to bring to the attention of these members that currently there is some activities going on. And I learned this when I was in my church on Sunday, when I had an announcement. And Honorable Speaker, you may not be aware, it could be happening in your county also. This ministry, through the Directorate of Social Assistance or Social Welfare, have sent their staffs to the ground in 20 counties to restructure the system. And it is a very sad affair. Honorable Speaker, I can tell you, I think the whole of yesterday I was struggling with the administration in Kipipiri constituency. I happened to be in my constituency doing bursary form issuance. And I saw a huge crowd, a stranded crowd in a certain stadium. And when I went, I found old men and women of 80 years, 90 years, 100, hungry, thirsty, under very harsh conditions of sun. There was no chief, there was no assistant chief, there was no ACC. I was struggling to find who is addressing these people. And I found 2 officers from this department, and they were telling me they are conducting election. Honorable Speaker, how can a 100-year-old man even know or conceptualize about election? And this election was to spearhead the matters. And I asked my DCC, can we call off these meetings? And these meetings be replanned? Because these meetings, ideally, they will still elect the caregivers. So it beats the logic that the caregivers will be elected, yet they came with their old parents. Why are we making our old parents struggle? They cannot even hear. The hearing system is broken at this age. Some cannot even see. Honorable Speaker, some were carried by boda. I witnessed an old woman where a boda could not climb a small trench and she fell down. I witnessed another one who just collapsed and fainted because she was hungry. And I had to stop all my program for bursary and organize for energy drinks and something for these people to eat. They were coming from long distance. I want through this motion to call this ministry to order. Even if they do not have capacity, they should have humane eyes. They cannot conduct meetings for the old, for purported election, while the old cannot even afford to see, to hear, or even understand what the election is about. Honorable Speaker, we know the administrations are key pillars in this country. And when these kind of structures are to be administered, it is paramount that the ministry, through their directorate and their officers, should involve the administration like the chiefs, the DCC, the ACC, because these are the people who will give them the ideas. Officers like the directors are seated here in Nairobi, and they give guideline, they give timeline. Because when I inquired further, I was informed this process must end by Wednesday. We can't stop. And another meeting was happening in another location. They have to travel to the ward level, not even at sub-location level. So in essence, I'm saying there is need for capacity building. There is need for the directors in Nairobi to understand the ground, understand these are old people who cannot travel, who cannot vote. They have caregivers, and their caregivers can handle their matter. Finally, Honorable Speaker, as we look at the disbursement, it can also be a nightmare, because some of these caregivers also they take the money of the old and they squander. So it is also a very delicate issue. And I think that's why the government was coming out with the system of the bank. But again, the 100-year going all the way, maybe from Kipipiri to Orkalau, where we have the nearest bank, is also very troublesome. So I want to call the Committee on Social Protection, to burn their midnight oil, come out with better ways of disbursement, because this disbursement is a real issue. We call this ministry to order to stop making meetings which are designed for Nairobians or towns or the youth. They come up with the better plans, they give capacity, but also as a house, we allocate enough budget, because I also see they are so much overwhelmed. You find in a sub-county, this ministry has one staff who is handling more than 500 or 1,000 old people. So, Honorable Speaker, I also want to provoke the members' thoughts in terms of health care. I think as a government, especially through the county governments, we can also create a department for the old. Because you find a 90, 80 years old grandma going to the hospital is being attended by a very young man who even communication is a challenge. Because you know these young men and women, they are our sons and daughters, but they are quite in a hurry. So at times, they do not even get the right health care, because the old man or woman is getting shy, is feeling shy to express, to be undressed. And as a government and as a house, I think it's time we may come with a health care policy where we create a department for the old, and any old person who goes, let's say, to Kenyatta National Hospital, he know that he go to that specific department where they can be accorded fast-track services, and the right-aged staffs can also handle them. With that, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you. I'll be putting a question to this House in the course of the week or next week in regard to these purported elections for the old, which is purely mistreatment. Thank you very much.
Very well spoken, member for Kipipiri. Honorable members, I would like to recognize students seated at the public gallery from St. Monica Munyaka Girls Secondary, Kieni constituency, Nyeri County. I would like to welcome you to the National Assembly so that you may continue following proceedings of the House. Thank you, honorable members. The next opportunity goes to the Honorable Joshua Mwalio, member for Masinga.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity that you have granted me to speak on the reintroduction of continuous registration of elderly persons in our society. First, I would like to thank the Honorable Zambia for this great motion that he has brought to this House, so that we can debate about our elderly people. First of all, it is very important to know that everybody in this house, whether young or old, one day you will become elderly. And it is good to take care of ourselves when we will reach that age. So for us to put something in this government, in fact, it should be a law that everybody who attains at the age of 70 At the moment, I am at 1,040 members who are elderly, who I have put in that scheme, and we pay for them every year. And that has helped me because they no longer come to me for money to be given to be taken to the hospitals. And therefore, I would even urge every member of parliament, if you look very carefully in the act of the NGCDF, there is a social amount whereby you can allocate and you pay for the elderly people so that they are taken care of when they are sick. So in my constituency, 1,040 elderly people, they go to the hospital with their IDs and they are taken care of. That is what we need the government to do. And also, there is something the government did last year. Them that receive the 4,000 shillings as a stipend, they were also registered in the NHIF as members, so that the government pays for them the money, and also at the same time, they take care of their health. So it is very important for us to mind our elderly people so that our days are increased, as the Bible says. We also need to take care of the elderly. We need to come up with a bill to build even home cares. If you go to America, many of the young people that have gone to America, they get trained in the hospitals or in the colleges on how to take care of the elderly in the elderly homes, the home cares. So we need to task this government to be able to take care of the elderly and even to build some homes whereby they take care of. It is only the Catholic Church that has built a few homes, which I know, and they are taking care of the elderly. And as a government, we need to sensitize the government to be able to build these homes. With these few remarks, Madam Speaker, I want to give the remaining minutes for some other members to contribute also. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Member for Masinga. The Honorable Caroline Ngelechei, Member for Elgeyo Marakwet. In the absence of the Honorable Ngelechei, I would like to give this opportunity to the Honorable Meli, Member for Tinderet.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to thank Honorable Engineer Zambia for bringing this motion to the House, more so to bring to the attention of the national government and the executive on the plight of the aged, the old, the elderly, the members who are actually having a lot of weakness in our society. Honorable Speaker, our Constitution is quite clear in Article 57 about the need to care for the vulnerable in the society. And the vulnerable in the society, the vast majority of them are the aged, who are actually 65 years and above. I want to really concur with Honorable Muya, member for Kipipiri, and I do not understand what the PS meant by saying 100-year-olds do elections or 70-year-olds do elections so that they can actually organize their cash transfer. This is quite bad. It's unacceptable to actually put the senior citizens in such a position, knowing that these are the people who actually contributed to the development of this country up to where we are today. We took over from them. They're actually the fathers, the grandfathers, the grandmothers, and the leaders who actually brought Kenya to where it is. So we need to take care of them. Honorable Speaker, I just want to point out that we do not need to go out there again and do all this registration every other time. We need to get a system where we know, the registrar of persons know every Kenyan in this country. We need to digitize. We need to get to know who are vulnerable. Who are these members who are not able to mend or actually to have their needs in the society. They do not have enough food. They do not have houses. They do not have medical equipment, medical facilities. It is upon the ministry, which is actually the Social Protection Department, to really ensure that the cash transfers are done on time and in a humane manner, not taking the old, the aged to line up in a post bank or in a cash transfer somewhere in the streets, in a street with a lot of sun. And two, we also need to ensure that what these people are supposed to do, the money is supposed to do, is to ensure that they have proper medical cover. I know in the cash transfer and in the social protection scheme, there is an aspect of NHIF, which every other time when the old presented in the medical facilities, it is not working. The facilities normally say the money is not there, the government has not remitted the funds. I think we need, as a house, first of all, to ask the CS and the PS to really give a status report on the health aspect of social protection, the cash transfer aspect of social protection, because you realize that when we go out there in the villages, in our constituencies, the people normally ask us, where is our money? Mheshimiwa, we have not received money for the last 6 months. We have not received money for the last 4 months. On top of that, those who are sick are turned away from hospitals because they are told the NHIF part is not working. So this particular motion, Honorable Speaker, is quite in order, and it is also calls upon the ministry to do proper regulations on how these monies are actually protected. We are the caregivers of the aged are known to pinch this money. They are known to misuse the money. And even at times, the beneficiaries of this money are also the caregivers are actually not very trustworthy. Two, even the officers, the field officers in the Social Protection Department need to really look into this. Every other time when you go out there, because members of parliament are actually the first line officers who meets these people every weekend. Ask every member who is here, who goes to their constituencies. The first thing the old men will ask is, we are not getting money. We are not able to buy food. We are not able to even buy blankets. We are not even able to buy medicine because this is the aged. And it is not, and as you all know, members, and I think Honorable Mwali has said, as you aged, medical issues arise. Not because of anything, it is because you are aging. And this is actually a very important thing that we need to strengthen as a house. I am calling that let this house enact a law to ensure that the money is transmitted on time to the recipient. Two, those who are actually taking this money from the aged be punished. And three, the aged should not be taken into a lot of rigorous activities. Prove to yourself that you are alive today, tomorrow, or the other day. That is quite very unfair. That you need to be register yourself this time, next time. Can you stop going to the post office? Now we are going to KCB. From KCB, we are going to the other kind of registration process. Actually, this is quite not good. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, we have other vulnerable people in the society. We have the lame. We have the socially disadvantaged kids in our society. Those people, the orphans, we have certain measures the government has put in place to ensure that the orphans, the disabled, the people who have mental disabilities need to be taken care of. But at times, the government don't disburse funds to these people. They have no very strong social protection mechanism. And I'm asking this House to ensure that we come up with laws that are actually going to protect not only the aged, but other vulnerable members in our society. Those who can't fend for themselves. those who can't take care of themselves, and no one is taking care of them. So this House has a responsibility because we represent both the able and those who are quite very vulnerable. Lastly, we have the issue of bursaries, which cut across the vulnerability in the society. This House also will need, as much as we know the constituencies do a lot in terms of bursary distribution, and I want to thank members for that, but at the same time, we have individuals in our society who are actually very vulnerable in terms of accessing medical care and accessing government facilities. We also need to come up with ways on how to do proper, comprehensive, integrated social protection system in our country. I thank you and I support the motion. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Member for Tinderet. Honorable members, this chance goes to the Honorable Mbeyu, Member for Kilifi County.
Asante, Mheshimiwa Spika. Na unga mkono mjadala huo ambao umeletwa na Mheshimiwa Zambia kutoka Kilome. Mheshimiwa Spika, uendelezi wa kuandikisha wazee wetu ni muhimu ufanyike, na nafikiri ameleta mjadala huu kwa wakati mzuri. Kuanzia mwaka wa 2007 mpaka 2016, Mheshimiwa Spika, utajua kwa wazee wengi waweza kuwa wamefariki, na lazima uandikishaji endelevu uweze kuanza tena ili kusafisha ile orodha ya wazee. Wazee hawa ni kina baba, kina mama, wa mama zetu, wa baba zetu, dada zetu wakubwa ambao wamefikisha kiwango cha miaka ile 65. Mheshimiwa Spika, maisha yamekuwa magumu. Ningependelea hata huu umri pia ushukishwe kufikisha miaka 60, kufikisha miaka 70. Humu Kenya sasa hii imekuwa changamoto. Wazee wanakufa njaa, hakuna maji, mifugo inakufa. Maisha mengi sana yanaishia miaka 50, 55. Mheshimiwa Spika, katika ibara ya 57 ya katiba yetu ya Kenya imeeleza wazi kuangazia changamoto ambazo zinakumba wazee wetu katika maisha yao ya uzeeni, na ni haki kwa sababu iko katika katiba wazee hawa waweze kuangaliwa, na kuangaliwa hasa kwa chakula, fedha na hata makao. Mheshimiwa Spika, wazee wengi wanaishi katika maisha ya uchochole, hawana nyumba, wanaishi tu kwa vibanda. Kwa hivyo ni wakati mzuri sahihi katika bunge hili na katika uangalizi wa wazee wetu iwezekane kuwa wanaweza kupata makao bora, na katika kila mwezi ile pesa ambayo ilikuwa imeweka serikali ya pesa 2,000, Mheshimiwa Spika, 2,000 kwa wakati huu hainunui hata bandari ya unga. Na kama hainunui bandari ya unga, hakuna fedha za mboga. Kwa hivyo pesa hizi kama zitatolewa mwaka wa 2007 ni kitambo sana. Kama zitafikishwa hata anga 5,000 kwa wazee, na wazee hawa ni wazee kina mama na kina baba, ili aweze kununua bandari ya unga, awe na pesa kidogo ya kununua mafuta, anunue mboga, ngama, harage au pojo, hata omena. Afya yao pia ina wajibu mkuu wa sisi kuangalia. Vyakula wanavyokula wao si sawa na vile vyetu sisi tunakula. Kwa hivyo hali ya afya yao na vyakula, aina ya vyakula vya kulishwa wazee viweze kuangaziwa vizuri. Mheshimiwa Spika, tuweze kuona ni vipi. Mimi kule kwangu Kilifi, wazee wa kule Ganze, kule Magarini, kule Kakuloleni wako mbali sana na maafisa hawa wanaotumika katika tunayoita uhamishaji wa fedha kidijitali, cash transfer, waone ni vipi katika kazi zao. Mimi nikiwa MCA pale Kibarani kule Kilifi 2013, nilikuwa naona wale ward administrators ndio wanahusishwa zaidi katika kuona wazee wamelipwa pesa hizi, ikaweze kutumika ifike pale chini kabisa kwa kijiji, pesa hizi zifate hawa wazee. Umesikia hapa mzee wa miaka 80, 90, hawezi hata kutembea, hawezi kufika katika zile bank wanalipa. Benki nyingi kule kwangu utazipata ziko Kilifi Town, ziko Malindi, ziko pale Mariakani, Kaloleni na Mtwapa ambapo ni Kilifi South. Kule kwengine benki ziko mbali. Tuone vipi mikakati itafanywa ili pesa hizi zifikie wale wazee binafsi. Manake hata wale wanaitwa next of kin wanaenda kuwachukulia hawa wazee, hawafikishi hizi fedha kwa hawa wazee, nyingi zinaisha mikononi ya wale wamependekezwa kuwachukulia fedha hizi. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, naunga mkono mjadala huu, tuone ni vipi katika ile kamati inayohusika hasa iweze kuona pesa hizi zinafikishwa na hawa wahusika kwa wazee waliolengwa ili waweze kusaidika. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Asante sana mbunge wa Kilifi. Nafasi hii itaenda kwa mbunge wa Igembe South ambaye ni Mheshimiwa Paul Mwirigi.
Asante sana Bi Speaker. Pia nami nataka kuchangia mjadala huu na nimpe hongera sana Mheshimiwa Zambia kwa kuleta huu mswada. Madam Speaker, wazee ndio waliotulea tukafika mahali ambapo tuko siku ya leo. Na ni muhimu sana sisi kama wabunge wa Juba hili kuangalia na kulitilia uzito jambo hili la malipo ya wazee. Bi Speaker, tukikumbuka ya kwamba usajili wa wazee ulifanyika mwaka 2016 hadi wa leo, Bi Speaker, hiyo kazi ama hilo jambo halijafanyika tena. Ndio maana na shukuru sana Mheshimiwa Zambia kwa kuleta huu mjadala ili tuweze kujadili katika bunge hili, na hili pia nasi sauti zetu siweze kusikika kwa hii serikali ili kuhakikisha ya kwamba hao wazee wanasajiliwa na pia wanapata hela kwa kila mwezi. Sababu kulingana na vile ambavyo iko kwa sasa, hizi hela za wazee zinakaa zaidi ya miezi miwili, miezi mitatu kabla ya hao wazee kupokea hizi hela. Na ikumbukwe ya kwamba hao wazee wengi wao hawana makao pa kuishi, wengine ni wajane, Bi Speaker, na kwa hivyo hawana watu wa kuwashughulikia. Na kwa hivyo ni vyema sana wakati ambapo hao wazee wanapokea malipo yao, wao wanapokea baada ya mwezi. Na vile vile haya malipo yao ya uzeeni, Bi Speaker, kulingana na hali ya maisha vile ambavyo ilivyo wakati huu, ni vyema hizi hela ziweze kuongezewa ili hao wazee waweze kujikimu kimaisha, sababu mambo mengine yanahitaji hela nyingi ili mtu aweze kuishi. Na kwa hivyo ni vyema, Bi Speaker, pia hizi hela ziweze kuangaziwa katika nyongeza zake. Vile vile, Bi Speaker, katika msururu wa usajili, wakati mwingine, Bi Speaker, unakuta wazee wakati ambapo wanasajiliwa kuna kuwa na mambo mengi ambayo hao wazee, na ni wazee wa miaka mingi, wanayapitia ili mtu aweze kusajiliwa. Vile vile wengine wale ambao wanasajiliwa, Bi Speaker, ni wale ambao ni marafiki wa wale machifu ambao wanafanya usajili. Na ni vyema kila mtu ama kila mzee ambaye anasajiliwa, kusiwe kukawa ama kusie kukawa na ubaguzi wakati wa kusajili, sababu wakati mwingine wazee wale ambao wanafaa kunufaika na hizi hela wanaachwa nje, sababu mimi sio marafiki wa wale ambao wanafanya usajili, ama saa zingine wanaonekana ni kama mimi wametoka familia duni sana, ile ambayo mimi haingeangaliwa, na hizi familia ndizo zile ambazo tunataka ziangaziwe sana. Kwa hivyo ni lazima wakati wa kusajili hao wazee kuwe na mkakati ambao umewekwa ili kuhakikisha ya kwamba wale ambao wanafaa kunufaika wameweza kusajiliwa na ili waweze kunufaika. Vile Speaker, wale ambao wanatumika kuchukulia hawa wazee hela, wale ambao wajiwezi kufika katika benki zetu, wengine wanaenda wanapotea na zile pesa ama wanawaibia hawa wazee. Ni vizuri pia kuwa na mikakati ambayo itatumika kuwachukulia hatua kali wale ambao wanahusika kuwaibia hao wazee, sababu hizi hela ambazo tunazungumza juu yake hapa siku hii ni za kuwasaidia hao wazee ili waweze kuendelea kimaisha vyema. Na pia kwa katiba, Speaker, haya mambo yameangaziwa pale, na kwa hivyo ni jukumu letu kuhakikisha ya kwamba hao wazee wameweza kuhudumiwa vyema na wameweza pia kupata hizi hela ili maisha yao yaweze kuendelea vyema. Speaker, jambo ambalo linanisukuma sana katika ama lile ambalo linanifanya hata zaidi kuzungumzia haya mambo ni ya kwamba katika eneo bunge langu la Igembe Kusini, Speaker, mara kwa mara wakati ambapo nazunguka katika constituency hii, wazee wananiuliza, mbona handi kwa sasa, ni kwa nini usajili hauendelei? Na ndio maana nataka kuhimiza serikali ya kwamba mwaka baada ya mwaka kuwe na usajili wa wazee, sababu tunajua kila mwaka miaka inaendelea kusonga kidogo, Speaker, na hao wazee bado wanaendelea ama watu wanaendelea kugeni umri, na kwa hivyo ni vyema kila mwaka usajili uweze kuwa unaendelea. Na kwa hayo machache, Speaker, naomba kuunga. Asante.
Asante sana mbunge wa Igembe. Now the next opportunity goes to the member for Kaiti, the Honorable Kimilu.
Okay, thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support this important motion. Madam Speaker, this motion seeks to address the plight of vulnerable elderly persons who are in dire need of financial aid for their sustainability in regard to the healthy and well-being, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to thank Zambia for bringing this motion on the right time, Madam Speaker, because, Madam Speaker, when we go to our constituencies, Madam Speaker, we get a lot of so many elderly people coming in our offices seeking for money for their well-being, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Kilome borders Kaiti constituency, and we share some markets, and because for the last rains, Kilome did not rain. There was no rains in Kilome constituency, Madam Speaker. And when I was going in the village last weekend, I met so many elderly people coming to the markets to look for food, Madam Speaker. And I think, Madam Speaker, it was not a good show, Madam Speaker. And as members of Parliament, we are here, Madam Speaker. I think it's a high time, because Article 57 of the Constitution, Madam Speaker, outlines the measure to be taken to ensure the rights of elderly persons, it is a fact that elderly persons, particularly those from vulnerable backgrounds, require financial aid for their sustainability in regards of their health and well-being, Madam Speaker. In 2007, the government launches the elderly person cash transfer program with the purpose for facilitating the monthly cash transfer to disadvantaged and vulnerable elderly person, Madam Speaker, from identified deserving household, Madam Speaker. In my constituency, Madam Speaker, I came up with a program through NGCDF for these vulnerable people, Madam Speaker, to help them get their NHIF. But when I was sitting here, Madam Speaker, I was trying to project and trying to see the reason why Zambia came up with this motion. And I thought that Zambia put the situation of the elderly people on his shoes, Madam Speaker. Because we are here, we are young. After Parliament, maybe some of us will go for gym. And I was trying to imagine Zambia when he will be at 90 years. He will not be even in a position to go to that gym or to run here and there, do business. He'll be old people, Madam Speaker. And I was trying to imagine the situation by then, Madam Speaker. So it is important at our age, we try to consider those elderly people because we are coming there, Madam Speaker. And it is very important, Madam Speaker. In my constituency, Madam Speaker, when I was issuing bursaries last weekend, Madam Speaker, I got more than 300 elderly people in my office. They were asking me, today you have issued bursary for students. And for us now, we need money. We have attained the age of 70 years. And since we have attained the 70 years old, we have not been registered, Madam Speaker. And I request this House, Madam Speaker, we resolve that the national government, Madam Speaker, through the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, undertake continuous and timely registration of the elderly persons and the old person cash transfer program. This will ensure that all deserving elderly persons are registered and benefits from the program, and that there is adequate monitoring and timely disbursement of funds, Madam Speaker. If we make it, Madam Speaker, to be automatic, when you attain the 65 years age, you go to the chief's office, you get registered, and you start automatically getting this cash, Madam Speaker. I think that will help. And Madam Speaker, government has issued fertilizers, cheap fertilizers to our farmers. And in Lower Eastern, Madam Speaker, we experienced short rains. Our people planted in Makueni, people planted, and they were excited to use that fertilizer, Madam Speaker. But I even wrote to the Minister of Agriculture because we, after 2 weeks, we lost rain for only 2 weeks, and all the plants died. Reason because maybe that fertilizer was not familiar and was not able to sustain our crops. So I requested the ministry to do research before they give fertilizers because climates of different areas are not the same, Madam Speaker. So people are suffering now. We are in a very harsh situation, Madam Speaker, whereby people are going without food. And if people who are at the age of youth, they are going without food, what of the elderly people, Madam Speaker? So I think, as members of Parliament, this is the high time we need to stand with our people, and we need to make sure that we pass this motion and make sure that our people can benefit for this cash transfer, Madam Speaker. It's our duty to ensure that the rights of our citizens, including the elderly person, are protected and promoted, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, I think it's the right time to support, and I want to thank Honorable Zambia for coming up with such a very, very important and timely motion. And I want to request my colleagues, we join hands together and support it. Thank you. I support, Madam Speaker.
Very good. Yes. Well spoken.
Well spoken. The Honorable Beatrice Kimei, member for Kericho County.
Okay, thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to actually stand in support of this motion by Honorable Zambia. Madam Speaker, the elderly people in our society are very important people to us. Those are our parents, our grandparents. Those are the people full of wisdom. Those are the people who can advise us and even our youth. So, Madam Speaker, I stand to support this motion about the cash transfer. This is very important to cushion them from poverty and even hunger with the aim of improving their lives, Madam Speaker. It is very interesting that the people who are getting this stipend coming from very humble backgrounds, Madam Speaker, may not have earned anything, not even a shilling from in their past lives. So the government bringing up this stipend is very, very important to them. I would also say that these elderly people, Madam Speaker, having said that they are very important, it is only very interesting that some of them take care of their children and even their grandchildren. And as much as it is beautiful to take care of the children and the grandchildren, sometimes they are burdened. So, Madam Speaker, this initiative will actually assist them improve their lives. But unfortunately, some of them live in houses that are not actually good. Some of them, even the food they eat is not balanced. And some of them, even the clothing, the clothes they wear are not actually good. So in this case, I would say the 2,000 that I are getting as stipend, if possible, and with time, I believe, will be increased so that it will be of great help to them, Madam Speaker. But I want to appreciate some of them. And I'm speaking on behalf of Esther, who comes from my county, and I'm also speaking on behalf of Leah. These two women, they have invested the little that they are getting, the 2,000, they have invested in small business. They are become artisans. They are making the calabashes, they are making beads, and they are selling. So they have improved and they have actually increased their little income. I also know of some old Wases. In particular, Kibrugut, I know him from our village. This Muse has made rungus and even the mats, and is selling them at least to add to the little they are getting. So I want to appreciate those who have put this little money into use. I'm a bit concerned with also the caregivers. Some of them, Madam Speaker, use this money, the little that is going to this, the elderly, instead of letting them have the money, the caregivers use this money. And with the knowledge, they lure the elderly, and even with their knowledge, they also give their requests, not sometimes demand, to pay fees, and even it is like they are being paid for being caregivers. So I'm calling upon our people to give space to these elderly people, let them enjoy the little that is being given by the government. In any case, Madam Speaker, the aim or the objective of having this money given by the government is even to give opportunity to the able people to have time to do their work, to have time maybe for those who are going to school, to go to school, because the elderly will have been cushioned out of this. And of course, to break the intergenerational poverty, because they have been provided with this little money, Madam Speaker. I would also ask us as a house to come out very strongly and support our people, and of course to support this motion. Having this knowledge that we have other vulnerable groups, people living with disability, and they could be of age or elderly at the same time. We have the orphans, we have the single mothers, we have the widows. Those are also vulnerable groups that need our attention. But I would also say that the responsibilities that many of these people are given should actually be lifted from them. So in essence, I am supporting this motion, but the chiefs and those people concerned should actually register those who are not registered. The people concerned should actually lift the burden from these elderly people. And with that, Madam Speaker, I support, and I say money should not also be stolen from these elderly. With that, I support, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Fatuma Masito, member for Kwale County.
Basi asante sana Bi Speaker kwa kunipatia nafasi hii, nafasi adimu lakini ya kuweza kuongea na mimi. Pia nisikike katika kumbukumbu za bunge hili la 13 nikitetea haki ya wale wazee wanyonge walioko kule nyanjani. Mheshimiwa Speaker, ni juzi tu tulikuwa tunatembea katika safari hii yetu ya kisiasa ya kutuwezesha kufika katika bunge hili la kitaifa. Wazee walikuwa wakinililia, wakiniuliza, mheshimiwa, sisi tutakupeleka bunge, lakini kama sisi wazee mbona tunanyanyaswa? Mbona hatupati haki iliyo yetu ya kikatiba? Nimshukuru Mheshimiwa Zambia, mjumbe wa Kilome, kwa kuweza kuleta hoja hii mbele ya bunge hili. Mimi naiunga mkono 100% hoja hii ya kuweza kuwatetea wazee wetu ambao wametuzaa. Tukiangalia sisi tusingekuwa hapa kama si wale wazee ambao walituzaa kule nyanjani tulikotoka. Tunawapatia heshima kuu na kuwatetea kuwa bunge hili, naomba bunge hili liweze kuwasaidia kupitisha hoja hii, waweze kuongezwa kwanza zile pesa zao, na pia waweze kuongezwa tangu mwaka 2016 mradi huu uliposimama wa kuongeza pesa, basi bunge hili liweze kupitisha kuunga mkono waongezwe, wale wazee waongezwe katika ile kuandikishwa. Pili, pia pesa ile Bi Speaker ni pesa finyu sana. Kule kwetu tunasema ni pesa ya wazee kununua tumbaku peke yake. Ni pesa ambayo yule mzee hawezi kujikimu maisha yake, na yeye amezaa watu ambao ni wa kuheshimika, watu wazima, amepoteza nguvu zake. Kuna wazee wengine, mimi Mheshimiwa Speaker nimetoka sehemu ya Kwale. Sehemu ya Kwale ina maeneo bunge 4. Kuna Lungalunga, Msambweni, Matuga na Kinango. Zile sehemu zina wazee walio wanyonge zaidi. Tukiangalia pesa hizi wakati zinatolewa mahali katikati. Mzee atembee au atumie ile njia ya usafiri ya bodaboda kuweza kumfikisha katika kituo. Wengine wanatumia hata siku 3 kuweza kupata zile pesa zile. Wakifika katika mabenki yale, Madam Speaker, mzee anakaa siku 2 kwenye baridi kusubiri pesa ile aweze kupata. Bi Speaker, pia ningeomba zile huduma ziweze kushukishwa kule nyanjani. Tusimpate mzee ametoka Kinango lakini anakuja kuchukua pesa pale Kwale. Kwale ni pale mahali tunasema ni county headquarters. Anakuja kuchukua pesa pale county headquarters. Na ametoka sehemu takriban kilomita 200-300. Hiyo ni hujuma pia, ni kama tunawasaidia lakini pia tunawanyanyasa kwa njia moja au nyingine. Mzee amekaa kwenye baridi siku 2 kungoja shilingi 2,000. Kingine pia, wale ndugu zetu wanaowachukulia wale wazee zile pesa, ningependa pia wawatendee haki. Kwa sababu sisi kama jamii ya Wapwani au jamii ya Kiislamu tunaamini dhulma ni kitu kibaya. Wewe umemleta yule mzee aliyemnyonge, maskini pengine pia haelewi anapokea pesa ngapi, alafu wewe pale unaweza kuchukua zile pesa kitita fulani unatia mfukoni. Serikali lazima itafute njia nzuri, njia mbadala ya wale wazee kuweza kufaidika wao wenyewe direct. Kingine, Bi Speaker, nilipata kukutana na wazee ambao wamekuja sehemu ile kuchukua pesa. Lakini unapata mzee anafanyishwa ile nenda rudi kwa sababu ya hizi alama za vidole. Wakati mwingi wazee wakifika umri fulani, hizi alama za vidole kwa lugha ya Kiingereza zinaitwa fingerprints, zinapotea. Unapata mzee anaambiwa huwezi kupata pesa kwa sababu fingerprints zako zimepotea. Mzee yule anataabika. Anakaa kwenye jua, anakaa kwenye baridi siku 2-3, na pengine pia asipate zile pesa, arudi nyumbani tena arudi baada ya miezi 6. Mheshimiwa Spika, kama tunawasaidia wazee hawa, basi pia haki itendeke na tuweze kuwafanyia njia nyepesi ya kuweza kufaidika na pesa zile. Chengine pia ambacho ningependa kuongeza chumvi au kuongeza uzito wa hoja hii iliyoletwa na mheshimiwa wa kutoka Kilome, Mheshimiwa Zambia, ni kufikiria katika bunge hili na taifa hili letu na serikali yetu hii tulionayo, tuwafikirie wale wazee wetu kuweza kupata bima ya afya. Wazee wengi ni wajane, na sisi tunajifahamu katika jamii, mara nyingi wazee wale huwa wametekelezwa, hawaangaliwi, hawashughulikiwi, hakuna mtu anayewajali, na pia matibabu inakuwa ni shida kuweza kupata. Basi mimi nimshukuru Madam Speaker kwa kuweza kunipatia nafasi hii. Mwisho niseme ninaunga mkono hoja hii 100%. Asante sana Bi Speaker.
Asante sana. Nafasi ya sasa itaenda kwa Mheshimiwa Naomi Wako ambaye ni mbunge wa Marsabit County.
Asante sana Bi Speaker. Ningetaka kuchukua wakati huu kushukuru mwenye ameleta Honorable Zambia, mwenye ameleta hii motion ambao ni ya kutusaidia na kusaidia wale ambao ni wazee katika mahali ambao tunatoka. Na tena ningetaka tu kusema ya kwamba mimi nina support hii hoja kwa sababu ni hoja ya maana na ni kitu ambao tukipitisha inaweza kusaidia wale watu ambao wanatuombea na wale ambao wanatupatia support zao kutoka pale kwa grounds. Vile tunavyojua sisi wa Afrika ni watu ambao tumekuwa tukichunga wenzetu na ni watu wa kuchungana. Lakini hivi sasa hiyo hali ya kuchunga na kusaidiana imeisha na watu hawakumbuki, hata vijana ama wasichana, watoto hawakumbuki kutunza wazazi wao vile tulikuwa tunafanya hapo awali kama wa Afrika. Hiyo ni kusema ya kwamba hiyo culture ambao tumepoteza inaendelea kutuaffect, na hiyo ndio inapeleka watu wetu wazee wawe wanaumia kwa njia mbalimbali katika mwaka yao ambao imeenda. Bi Speaker, tukiangalia vizuri katika mahali ambao tunatoka, kama ni county, kama mimi ninatoka county ya Marsabit, na kule tuko na mahali mbalimbali na zile constituencies ambao watu wetu wako, tuna distance kubwa sana, kama kilomita zaidi ya 300, mara zaidi ya 400. Na kwa hivyo nina support hii kwa sababu tunajua ya kwamba wazee wetu huwa wanatembea ama wanabebwa na wanaumia, wengine hata hawana hali ya afya nzuri, na kwa hivyo wanaumia kwa njia mbalimbali. Hapa ningependa kusema ya kwamba service wapelekewe karibu ili waweze kuhudumiwa kwa njia ambao inawakaribia sana. Tena kwa mambo ya kuhakikisha ya kwamba wale ambao wamefikisha miaka 60 ama 65 wote wameweza kuwekwa kwa register na waangaliwe vizuri. kwa sababu wakati wa kampeni nakumbuka nimeenda mahali mbalimbali na wazee wengi hawako kwa hiyo list na hawako kwa hiyo hiyo list ya watu ambao wanahudumiwa na wanapata hii pesa. Na kwa hivyo hata katika registration wale ambao wanahusika, machifu na wazee wa kijiji wenye wanasimamia hiyo mambo, wanafaa kuangalia kwa makini na waangalie kweli ni kina nani wanafaa kupata. Na hata kama tunasema ya kwamba wazee wote wako na haki ya kupata, kati ya wazee, Speaker, kuna wale ambao ni disabled, ambao hawajiwezi, wanahitaji kupewa nafasi ya kwanza ili waweze kupata nafasi na wahudumiwe kwa njia ya karibu sana. Na tena kati ya wale ambao ni wazee ambao wamepita hapo, kuna wale ambao wako kwa hali ya umaskini ambao ni kali sana. Na kwa hivyo hata kama tunasema wazee wote ambao wamefikisha miaka 60, 65 waangaliwe, tena kati ya hiyo watu waangalie ni nani ndio maskini zaidi, ni nani ndio hajiwezi kabisa, na ni nani ndio pengine ako na shida ambao pengine hata sisi hatutaweza kusema kwa sababu wengine wako na mambo ya afya, wengine wako na mambo ya blood pressure, wengine wako na shida ya shukari ambao inaenda kupanda na inawasumbua, na wengine hata wako na shida ambao pengine inahitaji mambo ya matibabu. Na kwa hivyo hata tukirecommend wapate hii usaidizi, mambo ya afya yao pia inafaa kuangaliwa na waweze kupata huduma ya karibu, hasa wale ambao wanaumia kwa njia mbalimbali. Ningetaka kusema ya kwamba sisi ni Waafrika, tena ninarudi vile tu nimeanza, na wale ambao wako na wazazi wao tuwapatie attention ambao inatakikana. Hata katika Biblia, katika commandment ya 5, tunaambiwa ya kwamba tunafaa kuangalia wazazi wetu kwa njia nzuri ili tuweze kupata baraka. Na kwa hivyo watu waangalie wazazi wao, watu waweze kuwachunga, na sisi pia ninajua kwamba kama Kenya Kwanza, serikali ya Kenya Kwanza, kuna uhakikisho ambao tumepatia watu, tutakuwa tunashughulikia watu ambao wako kategori mbalimbali katika nchi yetu ya Kenya, na haswa wazee ambao wamepitisha miaka 65 na wanahitaji hiyo huduma kwetu ili waweze kuishi kwa maisha ambao inafaa. Madam Speaker, nina support hii na ninaomba watu wote waweze kusupport na iweze kupita. Asante.
Mheshimiwa, ningependa kupatia nafasi hii mheshimiwa wetu ambaye anaitwa Gonzi Rai, na atafuatwa na mheshimiwa Waluke, mbunge wa Sirisia.
Kwanza nishukuru Bi Speaker kwa kunipa nafasi hii, kwa sababu baada ya kupewa likizo na wananchi 2017, ilipofika 2022 waliona kwamba hili bunge linakosa wazee, ndio maana wakaniregesha katika bunge hili, na hii hoja inahusiana na wazee. Kwa hivyo nakushukuru kule kutambua, na pia kushukuru Mheshimiwa Zambia kwa sababu ya kuleta hii hoja, kwa sababu ni ya muhimu sana katika bunge na jamhuri nzima, kwa sababu kuwakumbuka wazee ni kama kuikumbuka kale yetu. Bwana Spika, hoja hii tunaizungumzia kwa sababu usajili ulikomeshwa zaidi ya karibu miaka 7 iliyopita, na hadi kufikia hivi sasa mambo mengi yamepita. Lakini kitu ambacho penginepo ningelikiomba, kwa sababu ushuhuda ambao niliushuhudia wakati nilipokuwa likizoni, niliona kwamba hawa wazee wanastahili kupewa heshima, kwa sababu watu hawa hatungekuwa na taifa tulio nalo hivi sasa ni kwa sababu ya hawa wazee. Lakini hali wanayoishi na hali wanayochukuliwa Bi Speaker, wanachukuliwa kama ambaye ni watu waliolaaniwa. Sehemu inayotoka ya Kinango ni sehemu kame. Sasa kama sehemu ni kame na hali ya wazee huwa ina zombi ambayo yanawasilishwa kwa njia ya simu kwamba kumekuja wazee, lakini chakula hawajakula kwa zaidi ya siku 3, na umri wao ni wale wa kuzidi miaka 65 na kuendelea. Sasa ukiangalia kweli, kama taifa tunaweza kusema tunaendelea, lakini kama jamii kama ile imeachwa nyuma, huwa ni mateso makubwa sana. Kufaulu kwetu kama jamii ni kuwakumbuka hawa wazee wetu na kujua kwamba ni watu ambao wanastahili kutunzwa. Na kwa sababu kutoka mwisho wa usajili miaka 7 iliyopita, pesa tunazowapatia na ule utaratibu unaofuata wakati mwingine inakuwa kama ndoto, kwa sababu unasajiliwa mpaka wakati mwingine unakumbana na mauti, ndio pesa zinaingia. Na wale pia wakati mwingine tunaorodhesha kuwa kama next of kin, tunapowatuma kwenda kuwasaidia wazee hawa, wao pia wanatumia ufisadi na kuwalangua wazee hawa apelekwe kwa benki, na akifika hapo anatilishwa sign, akirudi anaambiwa pesa zimekosekana na pesa zimetoka. Nakumbuka dhahiri kwamba wakati mmoja kulikuwa na mzee kule Pwani ambaye alikuwa amefanya kazi halmashauri ya bandari za Kenya zaidi ya karibu miaka 30. Sasa akawa ameenda retire na pesa yake inaingia kwa benki ya Bankless Bank. Lakini alikuwa kila akienda benki anakwenda na kijana ili aende akatolewe pesa. Lakini jambo lilokuja kudhihirika baadaye ni kwamba kijana alikuwa akimchukua mzazi akimpeleka kwa benki, na akifika anamjazia fomu ya kutoa pesa, na baadaye anamwambia pesa hazijaingia. Mpaka pesa zilipokwisha, mzee ikabidi atafute msaada wa mjumbe ili apate kujua kwa nini pesa zake zimechelewa. Tulipokuja kuuliza swala katika bunge hili, tukapata ripoti kutoka kwa halmashauri ya bandari kwamba pesa zilikuwa zimeingia benki. Tulipofika kwa benki tukapata kwamba pesa mzee alikuwa amefanya withdrawal zaidi ya karibu 25, lakini hakumbuki hata siku moja kupewa shilingi, na pesa zote zimetoka. Kwa hivyo watu hawa wanastahili kuwa na uangalifu mzuri sana, kwa sababu hata kile kipengee cha kuwasajili wakati mwingine kinakumbwa na utata. Unamkuta mama ni mjane, anakuja kwako anakwambia, mimi nimefikisha umri na wenzangu wameandikishwa, lakini mimi sijaandikishwa. Na ukijaribu kutafuta suluhisho ama sababu, zinakosekana. Kwa hivyo wakati mwingi kama tunakwenda kusajili watu kwa sababu ya mambo ya kura, kuna utaratibu unaotumika na watu wote wanapata kura. Usajili wa wazee wetu ungestahili kuja na utaratibu fulani wa kuhakikisha kwamba hawa wazee wanasajiliwa vilivyo, kwa sababu hadi kufikia sasa idadi ya wale watu wanaofaidika na pesa za uzee ni wachache kuliko wale wengi ambao ni wazee na hawajasajiliwa na hawajapata pesa. Sasa kilio chao, masikitiko yao, tunasema tuna climate change katika nchi. Nchi imekataa kutupa mvua, ardhi imekataa kutupa chakula kwa sababu ya laana za watu tunaowatesa. Bi Speaker, aliyoyafanya Mheshimiwa Zamba alikumbuka sana, na akajua kwamba ni dhahiri shahiri kwamba wazee wetu wanateseka. na si kwamba tulizungumze swala hili tulimalize tukilipitisha, lipate utaratibu wake wa kuhakikisha kwamba pesa hizi zimepatikana na kwamba kutakuwa na utaratibu mwafaka wa usajili, utaratibu mwafaka wa kujua kwamba watapata pesa zao kila baada ya muda gani, ili ijulikane kwamba ni msimu, kama vile mfanyikazi anapokwenda akiangalia mshahara wake kwa sababu pesa zimetoka. Labda ingekuwa bora kama pesa hizi zinapokuwa zimetoka na kwenda katika benki zao, hakuna dhambi kuweka hata kama ni orodha ya majina yao, ili kuhakikisha kwamba mwenye kwenda benki ana hakika pesa ziko, kuliko ufunge safari utoke Kinango mpaka Mariakani, utoke Kinango mpaka Kwale, ukifika pesa hakuna, tikiti uliotumia imezidi pesa ulizolipwa. Speaker, swala hili linauma. Ninashukuru na nina matumaini kwamba heko na sifa zimfikie mjumbe, kwa sababu ni hoja nyingi zinazoletwa katika jumba hili, lakini hii hoja ni ya muhimu sana. Kwa hivyo nashukuru kwa sababu ya kunipa nafasi ili ikapate kueleweka kwamba ni hoja ya maana sana, na hasa katika siku hii ya leo. Kwa hivyo ninashukuru nikisema, Bi Speaker, Mungu na akubariki na tuendelee kupeleka mbele bunge letu. Asante.
Asante Mheshimiwa. Mheshimiwa wa Sirisia ambaye ni Mheshimiwa John Waluke.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me time also to speak about this important motion. Madam Speaker, I want to thank the MP who came up with this motion, Mheshimiwa Sambia, and I urge all the members of this House, Madam Speaker, to pass this motion. It touches all the counties, 47 counties of this country, Madam Speaker, and it touches all the 290 constituencies where we come from, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, these people are important to us. They are our parents, they are our grandfathers, grandmothers, and Madam Speaker, these people need help. They need support from us as their sons and granddaughters, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the government sometimes delay to disperse the monies to these old age persons, Madam Speaker. And as a House, Madam Speaker, we are the ones who make laws. We are the ones who deal with the budget, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we need to increase monies from 2,000 to 4,000, Madam Speaker, or 5,000, so that these people should be helped. They are human beings. They travel to look for medical facilities, Madam Speaker, and they need transport, not for free. So, Madam Speaker, that is why we need to increase the money to these old age people, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, from 800 that were registered, Madam Speaker, in a period of 7 years, Madam Speaker, there are very many people who have aged. And we need to register, Madam Speaker. We passed a law that we need to register up to 4 million people, Madam Speaker, because at home there are many in every constituency, in every ward where we come from, Madam Speaker. These people are there and they have not been registered, and they have reached 70 years. And we need to reverse even from 70 years back to 65, Madam Speaker, so that it captures people when they are, we need to help them when they are alive. Not that when they are date is when we can talk about them, Madam Speaker. Registration should be enhanced so that they get captured. Madam Speaker, we need to give them NHIF. Government should give them NHIF card so that when they are taken to hospital, it will be easy for them to, the government had already paid for them so that they get proper treatment when they are sick, instead of waiting or looking for money or for their member of parliament to send them money for treatment, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, these people, when they are at home, they need help. They need support in every kind, Madam Speaker, either to, there are some who are even more than 100 years, and they are supposed to also to get facilities to help them. Some need maybe wheelchairs they don't have. So, Madam Speaker, as a House, we need to pass the law that governs these people, that can take care about the old age people, Madam Speaker. Because of time, there's a lady who came here to ask for me to donate my time to her, my colleague, Madam Speaker. I support this motion, and I urge all members that we pass this motion for our own need. So thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I support.
Thank you, Honorable Waluke. The next opportunity, honorable members, goes to the Honorable Richard Yegon, member for Bomet East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. First of all, let me thank you for this opportunity, and I would like to say, sincerely, I came in when around 15 people was in the house, and they've talked more than 20 people, and I want to know the chemistry of having time to have an opportunity to talk and contribute to this very important motion. Madam Speaker, I'm not going to take my time today because I think most of my colleagues have contributed and said many things which I have noted down. I wanted to contribute about it. First of all, I would like to say there is need to fast-track the registration of these elderly people, which my colleagues have said. Madam Speaker, for sure, these elderly people in my constituency, we have had a lot of challenges whereby most of people from 2016 up to...
I just want to give some guidance to the Honorable Catherine Omanyo. I know you really want to speak on this motion and many members are keen. However, the Honorable Member for Sirisia cannot donate time for you. The only person who can donate time for you is the sponsor of the motion, who is the Honorable Waluke. So I order that you continue. The Honorable Zambia, member for Kilome. So it is out of order for the Honorable Waluke to donate time to the Honorable Catherine Omanyo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So I was saying from 2016, there's never been any registrations up to now, whereby we have so many people who have qualified for this scheme. And I would like to say also that as much as we want this registration to continue also, we want to make sure that also, Madam Speaker, that there should be a record, because so many people are also dying. Some people are also dying, whereby they need to be struck out of the register. Madam Speaker, some people, I've seen also some people who are just using the people who are dead, and they're using their IDs or identifications to get the money for these elderly people or those who are dead. What I want to say is that they need to be struck out of the register so that we can also save the government from the money which is going to waste, and give the right people who have qualified by attaining the age of 65. Madam Speaker, we also need to have a consistent transfer for these funds. I say this because you saw recently that the last regime, there were some, these elderly people who went for a very long time or a period of time before they get these monies. I know this administration have come in and they've started dispersing the monies, which we need to, this thing to continue by being consistent, and every month these people have to have the money. Also, I'm supporting the idea whereby we need to have we need to have this money is raised from a certain, the figure which has been 2,100 up to at least up to 4,000 or 5,000. And again, the idea of having these people have the NHIF card to facilitate them to hospital and avoid the challenges they are facing when they feel sick. Madam Speaker, with those very few remarks, I want to say I support the motion. Thank you so much.
Honorable members, I would like to give this opportunity to the Honorable Lillian Sioi, member for Trans Nzoia County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this chance to contribute to this motion that has been brought up by Honorable Zambia. Honorable Madam Speaker, I would want to support this motion by saying, actually, it is very important that this is the time for this nation to give back to the elderly, because these elderly are the very same people who really contributed to the economy of this country. And now that they are not able to work at the moment, it is important that we consider them at the age of 65 and above. And as well stipulated by a number of members of parliament, the modality is what we really want to discuss about, because, Madam Speaker, in Trans Nzoia County, I remember having walked in a certain street, and I was surprised to see some elderly members queuing up for this money that they're supposed to receive, and I felt actually we are not doing any justice to these elderly people. So I would wish to say that we should have a modality on how we are going to disburse the money to the elderly, not actually through the banks, but if possible, if we can disburse the money probably through the sub-counties, or we give them direct to their phones so that they can access their money softly without having gone through hell to go and get the money. Secondly, Madam Speaker, I also want to say that the elderly, the way on how we are registering the elderly should change. We should have a way on how we are going to register them, because at the age of 65, I want to believe that we should be having the data of these people, and it should be automatic that when you attain the age of 65, automatically you are registered in the system so that you start receiving this electronic transfer for the elderly. So, Madam Speaker, bearing in mind that it's almost lunchtime, I want to stop there, and I want to thank you and support this motion by saying that we need to put aside money for the elderly for the electronic transfer. Thank you.
Honorable, I'll give another one more person, the Honorable Agnes Pereio, member for Narok North.
Asante sana Madam Speaker kwa nafasi hii ambayo umenipa ili nami nipate kuchangia huu mjadala ya wazee wakongwe ambayo wanahitaji kutunzwa na kuchungwa. Na ningependa kabla sijaendelea kumshukuru mjumbe ambaye alileta huu mjadala, kwa sababu huu ni mjadala wa maana, kwa sababu hata nasi hata kama hatuko hapo tunaelekea hapo. Na nafikiri ni jukumu la serikali kuhakikisha hawa wakongwe wamechungwa na wamepata dawa na wameweza kupata chakula. Na ukiangalia vile inaendelea sasa.
Order, Honorable Pereio. Honorable Pereio will have a balance of 9 minutes to debate this motion, honorable members. And therefore, honorable members, the time being 1 minute past 1 o'clock, this House stands adjourned up to 2:30 p.m. today, Wednesday, 1st of March, 2023.